Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Fortunately, Penn State won last night, so I can tolerate working with you.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, the pain. All right. So before, I actually will start with basketball, and then we'll get to the Notre Dame Ohio State game. Okay. Let's give. I want to make sure I know we did this yesterday, or I didn't do it. We didn't have the show yesterday, but a shout out to the Lady Lion basketball team for their great win over Ohio State on Sunday, 62-59. Dodged one at the end, but to win, you've got to dodge a couple along the way. And for Carolyn Keeger and her staff and her team, that was a significant win for the program. And I congratulate them on just a terrific game. I mean, because it knocked Ohio State from the ranks of the unbeaten. All right. So now last night's men's game. And it's a game that Penn State, under the category of, look, you got to win that game, was last night. You'd had close calls, lost by 6 to Indiana, lost by 1 to Oregon, lost by 5 to Michigan State. Indiana, to be honest with you, Indiana's not a great team. Michigan State and Oregon are really good, really good. And Michigan State proved that again by the way they beat Illinois on Sunday, 80-78. I really thought Illinois was going to win that game. Nope. Michigan State's playing well, and they're playing with confidence.
Absolutely.
They got off to a rough start last night, and they just seemed tentative. And then they finally hit some stride offensively. And something that had plagued them early in the 2025 is part of the schedule. Like at the end of the 24 part and into early 25 was the three-point shooting. And Dick and I had talked about it and chronicled that, hey, look, you got to hit some. Well, they started hitting some. And Freddie DeLeon last night was 4 of 7 from the field. He was 4 of 4 in threes. He was 0 of 3 in twos. Like, okay. Right? Interesting way to go about it, sure. But the point value, can't put a price on that. In the second half, they got that run going, and you could just see at both ends. Mike Rhodes picked the right time. Like I'm talking instinctively picked the right time to go, okay, for the first time tonight, there's about 7 minutes left. We're going to go 2-3 zone. Now, Rutgers had practiced against it because Penn State has used it of late. But after going for the first 33 minutes without seeing it, Rutgers looked like, what the heck? I mean, they looked at it like, what the heck? Even though they practiced against it. Right? And they had 4 straight empty possessions against it. So it was just one of those instinctive, timely moves that Mike made. And Mike's a great coach. I mean, Mike really is a terrific coach. Better guy, terrific coach. And it made such a difference. Now, there are 2 turning points in the game, one for each team. So let's get to the one that got Rutgers back in it late. And that was Yannick popping out and getting the foul 40 feet from the basket on a blitz. That's how he fouled out against Michigan State. You got to be smart and careful. You're just out there just to give them bone. You're not out there to hit anybody. When's the last time you saw somebody come out in a blitz and steal the ball?
Right.
Now, maybe the other person steals the ball.
Absolutely.
But the person
forces a turnover where you don't throw it
but
away.
You never see the person that comes out on the blitz,
Not a chance.
steal the ball. You're just there to create
Create the havoc that creates the
havoc
turnover.
that kind of pushes you back a little bit, then you fall back. Okay.
Sure.
You're like, now let me tell you about the one where actually, and nobody's talked about this, but I talked about it in the broadcast last night. We said we need to circle this play. Rutgers is up 53-50, and they come down, and Martini, out of nowhere, I'm talking like fired up a 3-point shot from 25 feet, right? And it wasn't even close. I looked up like, what the heck was that shot? Like they ran no offense. He just went, I'm throwing it up. And I said to Dick, I said, that is the definition of the happy on the farm shot. I said, we need to circle that one and maybe open the door. Well, Penn State ran off 11 unanswered points after that shot. Like, it's something that you see in sports where the no feel for the game or the moment exposes itself. That shot had no feel for the game or the moment. It's a 3-point game. He took that shot and went, oh my God, that was just, and I said it on the broadcast. This wasn't one of those like post-mortem things, because actually we didn't even talk about it in the post-game show, and I mentioned in the broadcast that we need to talk about that moment. That was like one of those like baffling, we think we've got it. You're up by 3 on the road. What do you mean you got it? You don't have anything. And it was a terrible shot. And Penn State came right down, boom, 11 unanswered points after that shot. Like, now, Yannick's foul opened the door for them to climb back. They never got the lead, but to climb back, they got within 2 after being up 10. Penn State had a chance to knock them out. But they hit their free throws down the stretch. Nick Kern hit all 4 of his free throws down the stretch, as a matter of fact, which was huge. And I don't think people realize in close games this year, Penn State's 81% at the free throw line in close games in the final 4 minutes. How do I know? I keep track of it myself. It's not in the game notes. Some people do put in the game notes, but years ago I adopted it myself, just to do it myself. And it's a limited rotation. Puff's been out. They only played 8 last night, and the 8th was Javin Carter. So really, you're going to see 7 guys really log some big minutes. Now, Miles Goodman did not play last night, but that was just a choice by Mike based on the 2 big guys, Somerville and Agboli, being out there. Freeman for Iowa is really good. I've always liked Freeman. He's a sophomore now, and you can just see like he knows how to play. Iowa is next. They are a really good offensive team. If we put 5 people together here in the radio station and did a pickup game, we would score points.
Depends on the 5. I feel semi-confident.
No, we'd score. Against Iowa, we'd score points. Just thought I'd point it out.
Now, I would love to be in that post-game press conference with Fran if that happens.
If we scored points? No, we'd score points. I didn't say we'd win.
No. Hey, still
points.
Still would score points. One thing we saw, you talked about the shot selection, especially that one where you brought Penn State back with 11 unanswered. You felt like they did that in Piscataway too. Penn State just couldn't take advantage of it enough. They weren't shooting well enough.
Well, the first half they got so far behind.
Exactly.
They got down 17 points and then played a really terrific second half and had a shot to take the lead.
Yep.
This time they stayed in contact with them and then had the lead themselves at halftime.
Yeah.
37-35.
Yeah. And did a great job. And obviously, it's a big one. Getting a chance to beat that team. And Obviously, you held
just
hard.
to beat anybody.
Yeah, you
needed to win.
Needed to get back on the right track.
Now you're 13 and 6. Now you're 3 and 5 in the conference. Now you get a 2-game road trip where I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's a 2-game road trip where both games are winnable.
Sure.
Look, Ace looked good last night. Ace may not quite be 100%. Okay? Ace might not be 100%. Okay? We know that. But, boy, the last 2 games, he has scored 42 points. He had 20 at Michigan State. He had 22 last night. Yep. He also was 3 of 7 in threes last night. That was big for Ace. And you could just see the way he had eight more assists last night. Again, just it looked more like Ace. And let's go back to the Oregon game. Tough 1-point loss. They had a real chance to win that game without Ace in the lineup.
Yeah.
But let me point out where without Ace in the lineup really came to the front. The last 4 offensive possessions Penn State had in the game against Oregon, the person that crossed the timeline with the ball never gave the ball up and took the shot. There wasn't a single pass in the last 4 possessions once that person crossed the timeline. Well, now you look at the end of last night's game, got hot, and then the big one to me was when Nick attacked. When they went with the diamond press, Nick attacked, scored that bucket. That was the one that put the game away. So, yeah.
A great job on Harper, too, obviously. Harper did not have a great night, but I think part of that was Penn State defensively.
Ace did a great job on Harper last night, and Harper late in the game, this was like out of frustration, took a hero shot. Like, that's not a good shot. He took like a 25-foot 3 straight on. Can he hit it? Yeah, but it was a hero shot. It was early.
Agreed.
It was like no. He was 3 of 11 last night.
Yeah.
Bailey was absolutely
30 points.
Phenomenal.
Tremendous.
I mean, anybody who went last night, okay? Now, both of those people are going to be in the NBA. Harper and Bailey.
I think Bailey's more ready, I think right now.
Well, Harper leads the league in scoring.
He does.
I mean, believe me. The first time they played, Harper was the better player.
Yeah, I think so. And plus,
look, they're both going to be in the NBA after this year.
And
they are not
both going to be high picks too.
Right.
They're not going to be. Yeah.
Harper's fine. Okay, Ace just did a great job on Harper last night.
Yep.
Not a good job. Did a great job on Harper and had him frustrated. Harper was out of sync. Bailey, 6'10", drive, dunk. 6'10", step back, 22-foot 3. Got it. Swish. He was 13 of 15. Yeah. He had 30 points last night. But what has been the knock on Rutgers this season? The knock on Rutgers this season has been, outside of Bailey and Harper, who helps out?
Absolutely.
Now, when they beat Nebraska, Martini really helped out. When they beat Nebraska, Williams really helped out. And they won 85-82 at Nebraska, stopping their 20-game home court winning streak on Thursday night. That was a really good win for them. And they had, Grant helped, right? Last night, Harper didn't have a good game. It was Bailey. He had the 30. And they scored 72 points last night. The other guys only scored 42. And guess what? They were 14 of 39. Now, for those scoring at home, that's 36%. You didn't realize that, did you?
14 of 39, 36%?
Yeah.
There are tricks to figure out percentages that we've figured out over time.
Yes. One of 2 is 50. Okay.
Yep. Well, obviously that too.
You
but
scare the daylights out of me.
No, I do the same thing you do.
You frighten me.
I have had people tell me, like, I can't believe you still just physically write stuff down. I do. And that's how I've always done it. I write down handwrite stats, handwrite percentages. I've always done it.
But again, what was 15 no, he was 13 of 15. Bailey was 13 of 15. The other guys were 14 of 39.
Yeah. Yep.
Penn State won the two lines last night. The free throw line, the 3-point line, 52 to 32, plus 20.
Yep.
Again, we talk about the two lines have been important. We've talked about it forever.
Yeah, my point with as well. Yeah, both guys with Bailey and Harper, both guys absolutely be in the NBA. But that 6'10" span is where I'm looking at with Bailey. I think that's where
the 6'10",
you have
you're seeing in the NBA
absolutely
that player.
Yeah.
I remember when Ralph Sampson played at Virginia, and Ralph Sampson could face up and hit.
Yeah.
All right, but they still wanted him to play with his back to the basket.
Yes.
You don't get that anymore. I mean, does Bailey once in a while go in and play with his back to the basket?
Yeah.
He's a 6'10" guy with 6'4" guard skills.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
You don't.
He also got 2 T's last night.
That's correct.
I mean, what are you doing? I mean, see, that's the lack of poise. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, you're trying to get back in the game. Go back to the other end and play defense. It's like the kid for the Texans the other day after the fumble against Kansas City, throwing his helmet
and shoving coach.
And shoving his coach. What are you throwing your helmet for? What are you doing? There's stuff I see in games.
Oh, there's stuff I see, especially in the NFL. There's stuff I see
in games just everywhere. I don't get it. I know sports is emotional. Okay? I know sports is emotional.
Sure.
But you have to have emotion with some common sense.
I agree.
And I just don't.
Yeah.
I am baffled by some of the things that I see.
Yeah. And it's not only a case where the obvious cliche and reality, so to speak, you hurt your team. Absolutely. You hurt yourself, too. People are going to remember when you commit a stupid 15-yard penalty that ultimately costs your team potentially a chance to win a game, or a technical foul that costs your team potentially a chance to win a game. People remember who did that. They don't forget Jim Boeheim getting a technical foul that could have beaten Duke and swept Duke that year.
Right.
You don't forget these 15-yard penalties that ultimately potentially cost your team possession in the NFL to win a game.
Yeah. It's again, the emotion of it, I understand, but I don't get it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Now, sometimes it's over officiated. The Elliott Washington play in the Ohio State game, that was a disgraceful call.
Terrible call.
That was disgraceful.
Awful call. Awful call.
Okay. All Elliott Washington was doing was walking back onto the field after being involved in the play because he's on special teams.
Sure.
Again, that's okay. With officials, I know you have to call games, but you have to have a feel for the game. Everybody needs anybody involved that's worth their salt. Like, okay, I always love. There are a lot of people that don't like certain officials they don't like. Dick and I think Larry Scarado's a great official. It doesn't mean Larry gets every call right, but Larry has a feel for the game that's going on. I'll give you an example of what a great official he is. Last night, Somerville juggles the ball in the post. Boom, gets it back, fires it up. Right away, Larry called it as a shot clock violation. Right away. Like, oh, okay, look at the replay. Man, was he right. Like nobody else in the building. We knew it was close, but Larry was definitive. Right? Larry has a really good feel for the game as an official. Right? Jerry McGinn in football. Jerry McGinn has a great feel for the game as an official. Right? I have zero issue about praising officials. None.
Right.
You do a great job. I'm going to tell everybody on this show.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
XYZ does a great job. I'll tell you that. Right? It's not, Because I'm a firm believer that if you're going to be critical of something, you also have the ability to praise something.
Absolutely.
That's called balance and fairness. And does it mean Larry's going to get every call right? No. Right? Does it mean Mike's going to make every great call on the sideline? No. Does it mean Steve Peichel's going to make every great call on the sideline? No. But the vast majority of them are going to be spot on. Vast majority of what Mike calls is going to be spot on. He knows what he wants to do, why he wants to do it. Then it's up to the execution. But the emotion, like Bailey's a great player. Bailey doesn't need to stand over somebody. He doesn't need to push Ace Baldwin. Why? Why are you doing that? You're the team behind. You don't need to lose your head. On a night where everybody sat back and went, my goodness, he's good.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yet he had 5 fouls in the game, and 2 of them were technical fouls. Now, the last one didn't matter. The last one mattered because Penn State was going to get the ball anyway, but they got the 2 free throws. So what happened was he makes this great dunk, pushes Ace, and then Ace walks down the other end and knocks down 2 free throws. So in other words, your dunk was absolutely negated. It's the same score as it was before the dunk, the same margin. It's the same margin before the dunk, except Penn State now has the ball. Like, it's that kind of lack of, like, what are you doing here? On a night where everybody, like, if you went to the game last night, and you looked, you had to walk out there going, man, 4 can play. Well, 4 is in the wrong league. Okay? Okay? Bailey should be in the NBA. He's got everything you could ask for at the next level.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, everything.
Yeah. And he brings more than what a guy like, you look at size that could play at the guard play. I go back to when Tracy McGrady entered the league. Obviously, he was not at the maturity level yet because he was coming out of high school. He was one of the first, obviously, one of the first in this era after Garnett and Kobe. But I think ultimately, what you look at what he was able to do, he was a scorer primarily, but he was not the world's best at everything. And that's where I think I think Bailey can be similar to that player. I think he'd be a guy that can score, be a guy that can defend when he has to. But again, you got to keep your cool.
Yeah. You just have to. I mean, he didn't get one. I mean, the last one didn't matter. The last one mattered.
Still,
the last one
it's
mattered.
Be on the score sheet.
Right. The last one mattered. He was out of the game anyway. The last one mattered because it gave Penn State 2 free throws. So the margin stayed the same after his great dunk. I mean, I don't know. I see stuff like that. I'm baffled by it. It doesn't mean that the fans don't get mad over something, or coaches don't get mad about that. It happens, but I don't understand what you're mad about.
Right.
You're the one that just scored. Yeah. Okay. Most people are happy. Oh, goodness gracious. Most people are happy. Notre Dame and Ohio State. The drive at the end of the first half by Ohio State was the big drive to me, because Notre Dame's up 7-0, then they tie the game 7-7. Now it's 14-7. Notre Dame really needed to go to the locker room down 14-7. Yep. Instead, he throws that touchdown pass to, I think it was Smith that caught it in the end zone. Was it Smith?
Judkins, I think, was the second one, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the third one. The one before the half. Now, this is one where I have to admit, we're in the post-game show, and so I'm kind of glancing up at the TV of the post-game show. I thought he had Jeremiah Smith in the end zone for the third touchdown.
He may have. I think he may have.
Because the other first 3 touchdowns of the game I never saw. I know Judkins did power one in.
He had 3 touchdowns total. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, it's amazing what that field seems to do for him.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I lived it last year. The
Judkins was that was the pass, the 21-7, where he was wide open.
Smith.
That third touchdown was Judkins too.
Oh,
he was wide open.
He caught it. Okay, Judkins caught it. Okay,
I thought so.
All right. Like I said, I was glancing at it as I was looking at the TV, because we're still on the air.
Yeah, Smith was the first touchdown. I think Judkins had the next three.
But it's 21-7, and Ohio State, if I recall correctly, who got the ball to start the second half? Was it Ohio State?
That was Ohio State because Notre Dame took
they
the
essentially
opening drive.
They got a 2 for none and got 14 points out of it. And again, what has been part of the mantra of Notre Dame this year?
Middle eight.
Winning the middle eight.
Yeah.
Well, in the middle eight, they lost it 14-0. Ooh. Now, Notre Dame's credit, they make the comeback. Okay? So they make the comeback. It showed a lot of guts doing it.
Absolutely.
They really did a great job of slowing down the Ohio State ground game. Ohio State got very conservative as to how they played the game.
Extremely.
Now it's 31-7. We're just going to, now it's 31-15 because Notre Dame hits the 2-point conversion. Okay? The baffling call to me was when he sent Mitch out to try the field goal.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what really stung for me as I'm watching is when he hit the upright. Yeah. And I'm like, why couldn't he have done that? Because the field goal that he hit against Penn State snuck in the right upright. I mean, he had a little draw on it, which helped. But that thing was close. Well, last night he kicked it from the hash mark. He tried to kick it right to left, and he doinked it off the upright. I was surprised they didn't go for it on fourth.
I was too. Because you just had all the momentum going your way there. It's 31-15. It's a 31-23 game. You're in a spot there where you could tie the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the same way. I just felt like it was with as good as Ohio. I think it's knowing your opponent too. Just as good as Ohio State is offensively, you just don't know if you're going to see that ball back in a one-score game. That's why I felt like that was a spot where you probably go for it and. They don't, and unfortunately. And look, it's been a great kicker all season long. So you have faith in him, but just the doinks it at the worst time. And just like that, Ohio State, obviously Notre Dame scores again, or Ohio State goes down and hits the big pass play. But I think you talked about the play calling. I thought,
by the way, Greathouse, again, Greathouse, who was a difference maker against Penn State. I said Notre Dame doesn't have a threatening receiver going to the game. Well, they don't.
No.
But I'll tell you this.
He makes good plays, though.
Oh, no. I'm praising Greathouse here. I think Greathouse played had a huge role in the win in the Orange Bowl, and I thought played really well last night. But, man alive, you watch the replays of that Ohio State secondary? My goodness. I mean, I knew it going into the Penn State game. I didn't want to talk about it too much during the broadcast because you want to just kind of let it play out. I think we mentioned in the pregame show, Jack and I were talking about, one thing you have to be aware of, it's a very handsy secondary. Man, they are not just a handsy secondary. I mean, they were grabbing people left and right. Igbignosin, what? He had that one late. What? He's got his arms wrapped around him like, what?
Yeah.
They don't call that in the Big Ten.
Yeah. No.
It goes under the theory Michigan used to have. Yeah. Michigan's theory was they can't call all of them. No, I'm not joking
true.
About that.
That's absolutely
I'm not
true.
joking about that.
No,
that was the Michigan philosophy. Remember where they had Long at one corner and Long played in the NFL and is still in the NFL.
Yeah, and that philosophy is honestly the truth.
Those guys were like, clutch, grab. Like, well, if we give up one or two, so what? It's all the other ones we prevent. That's what Ohio State does with its secondary. Yeah. I mean, you talk about there was the one where they called Ohio State for holding late. It was the one that was I think he was trying to throw to Greathouse in the end zone. And it was with Denzel Burke, and it was kind of a jump ball, and that wasn't the penalty. And that was clean.
Yep.
Then they showed the replay. Like, where's the penalty? Well, they called it on Caleb Downs. Well, Downs took his guy down. Hancock took his guy down. Sitting there like going, right? And then Igbenogsen's grabbing his guy. I'm like going, what are we doing here?
Uh-huh.
You can't allow people to play like that.
No.
You can't allow that. And by the way, Ryan Day's concerned about the SEC officials and holding calls and so forth. You can't. You've got to call one or two of those early.
Yeah. You can't set the tone the opposite way. I agree.
Right? One or two early.
Yep.
Where you say, look, you do it again, I'm going to throw it again.
Uh-huh.
That's why the SMU game.
Yep.
That's why I made the comment I made in the broadcast of the SMU game. Remember Nick Dawkins got called for holding?
Uh-huh.
And I said in the broadcast, I said, oh, now you're going to call it? Now? I said, Abdul Carter needs a new jersey after every single series. Denai Dennis Sutton needs a new jersey after every single series. I said, now you're going to call that holding? Really? I mean, they got to clean it. I mean, I realize they're trying to keep the number of penalties down.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, I get
that
too.
For the flow of the game.
Yeah.
I've got that part. I understand. But you've got to do it once or twice in the first half where it sets the tone of like, hey, you can't play that way.
Yeah.
You can't play that way.
Yeah, and that's every league. You look at the Super Bowl 2 years ago, Eagles and Chiefs. That third down where they called the holding on Bradbury. Was it holding? Absolutely. Yeah. Did they call it all game? No.
Nope.
And that's what led to the criticism of it.
Right. That's right. So, All right. The playoffs. If you're an Eagles fan, Saquon Barkley is your hero. They don't have him. They are not in this game.
No.
Okay? I'm going to say something that may make some people ticked off.
No, I think I know where you're going with it, and I think it's true. Okay?
And I've been saying this for a month now. The weak link in that offense is Jalen Hurts.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
a healthy Jalen Hurts is the weak link on that offense.
Yes.
Let alone depending on what lies ahead this week.
Of the four quarterbacks in the conference championship games, he's number 4. Daniels is better than he is now.
I think it's a
Josh Allen is better than he is now.
No question. Mahomes, no question. Daniels, I think, is close.
Daniels
because
is
we've
better.
not seen enough
Daniels
of the legs.
Is better now.
But
he's better now. Okay, he doesn't have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Goddard, and that offensive line.
No, he doesn't have that
And look
line.
what he's doing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, McLaurin is exceptional.
McLaurin's incredible.
He's exceptional. All right, Robinson's a really good running back. He's just not Saquon.
Yeah, no.
But he doesn't have that offensive line. Hurts seems unsure of himself.
Mm-hmm. He's got one of the best offenses in football.
Okay, the Rams had 9 sacks against Sam Darnold. Why? Because their defensive front did a great job. They blitzed when they needed to, and Darnold has a tendency to hold the ball too long. Yeah. They had, Hurts, they're never going to sack him 9 times. No, they didn't sack him 9 times. They sacked him 7. Including a safety. Why? Because Hurts is 2 years ago. Okay, again, let's be fair. 2 years ago, he was the best player in the league.
Would have been Super Bowl MVP without a doubt if the Eagles won that game.
Right.
No question.
Right. He was the best player on the field bar one play. And that was the play where he dropped the ball. And it was an unforced error. He wasn't hit. He just dropped the ball. And I think it was Nick Bolton picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown. Yep. Right. Except for one play, which was a bad play, by the way. Right?
Sure.
He was the best player on the field. Like, wow. Accurate, confident, right? Running when he needed to. Now, everything he does the last 2 years has been so tentative. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of injuries. I don't know if it's because he's had a couple of concussions. I don't know. But even when he runs, he'll run, boom, and he'll get to the turf right away. I know he's trying to protect himself. I got that.
Right.
But like everything about him is tentative. And it's if they had to rely on him to win a game, I don't think they can do it. And
I don't think
he's
so.
got Brown, he's got Smith, he's got Goddard, he's got that offensive line, and he's got the weapon of all NFL weapons right now. Because right now, every single running back coming into this draft needs to thank Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley for their opportunity to be drafted higher. Because those two, after combining for over 4,000 yards rushing this year and everything they did for the Ravens and Eagles respectively, I mean, Barkley... We always talk about baseball where a guy comes to the plate and you feel like every single time there's a possibility he's going to hit one out. Barkley, every time he touches the ball, you feel like it's a possibility he's going to go 70 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah. He's one of the smarter players, too, where you feel like, obviously, if he's going to take the home run in the first quarter, he's going to take it. But you also feel like he's going to wear down that defensive line, and third quarter, he's going to see that hole and he's going to hit that home run. That's where the other thing you feel like with Barkley, he just closes.
Well, and
that's where, and obviously close the game Sunday.
But he not only closed it out, but how did he close it out? Snow field.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little tentative for obvious reasons.
Sure.
Obvious reasons, because you're trying to keep your footing. He makes that jump cut to the left. That jump cut to the left he makes is not on the hash mark.
Yeah.
Well, what does that make a difference? Because remember, the hash mark was shoveled.
Yeah.
He made the jump cut on the snow and the ice and the sleet and did it like it was a dry day. My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, just special beyond words. And the Eagles' defense, for the most part, played well. But you know what? The Rams, okay, what don't the Commanders do? Oh, this is going to take forever.
This
is taking forever. What are we doing? Do you watch the games?
Yeah.
They don't huddle.
They don't huddle. They go up tempo. I agree.
So now let's go to the fourth quarter. What did the Rams start to do?
Yeah, and it helped.
Stopped huddling. Didn't change personnel.
Right.
Ran the Eagles almost out of gas.
Yeah.
The Eagles were gassed in the fourth quarter. And then they huddled. Was third down?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Huddled and missed the block.
Right.
Yeah.
But you huddled. No, get up to the line of scrimmage. Go.
Yeah.
You've got them. Yeah. They're on their heels.
Yeah.
You gave them a break.
Yeah. And gave them the ability to substitute
and they
in the next play.
Substituted.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Or it's Kate. McVay's a terrific coach, but what are you doing? Don't stop what you're doing. They can't handle it.
Falcons showed it too. Week 2.
Yeah.
Falcons showed it clearly on that 2-minute drive.
Washington already knows how to play Philadelphia.
Yes.
In the last few years, no matter the coach, whether it was Ron Rivera or Dan Quinn, they've had success against Philadelphia. They've beaten them. Right? Even the great Super Bowl year that the Eagles had getting to the Super Bowl, who beat them in the regular season?
Yeah.
Washington. Right?
Yep.
And for some reason, they match up well.
They do.
With Philadelphia. Now, let's get into the other part. This will drive people nuts. The mystique of playing in Philadelphia. We're the most intimidating fans. Really? Really? Okay? You influence the game. Your noise is great. It comes through the TV set. I love the passion of the Philadelphia fans. But don't tell me you're intimidating anybody. Who are you intimidating? Did you intimidate the Knicks last year? Oh, no, wait, they won on your floor. Oh. Did you intimidate the Diamondbacks? No, they got to the World Series on your field. Did you intimidate the Astros? No, they not only had a no-hitter, but they also won the World Series on your field. Okay? Don't overrate yourself. Okay? Okay? Now, you're going to cause Daniels issues with silent counts and things like that. Football's different.
I think that's where they're factored.
Football's different. But don't intimidate them.
No.
Do you think Terry McLaurin is intimidated by you?
No.
Do you think Bobby Wagner is intimidated by you? No, they're more like, oh my goodness, Barkley's good.
Yes.
That's okay. Okay.
Yep.
Don't overrate yourself. Okay.
No. But
because they're the ones that proclaim that they're the most intimidating fans in sports. Last time I turned around, a lot of people were winning on your fields and courts. It's like in big games. So you're not really that great.
No, and it's a matter of no matter where he's playing, it's a road game. How will Daniels react to the moment? I think that is the biggest part. Did great last week. The Lions don't have the defense the Eagles have.
They don't.
The Eagles have a defense that is number one in the league, a defense that when they can close a game, they do it. That's the other part of it.
The Eagles' defense is better than Tampa Bay's, but
absolutely.
At the same time, Daniels played great in that game.
He did.
They played well on the road 2 games in a row.
Yes.
This is an example of after going through the phase of Mitchell Trubisky, Trey Lance, the guys that put on just enough tantalizing tape for you to draft them high. Here's a guy that's got 5 years of college starting experience, 3 at Arizona State and 2 at LSU. Okay? And he comes into the league, and I know the league is a different speed and it's faster. Again, going from high school to college is a gigantic leap. Going from college to the pros is a chasm. Okay? It is.
Sure.
Yet, at least by playing 5 years as a starter, he understands certain things and has seen virtually every speed. And Nick Saban will tell you this, the 2 most difficult quarterbacks he ever coached against, and one was not Johnny Manziel. The 2 most difficult quarterbacks he coached against when he was at Alabama were Joe Burrow and Jalen Daniels. All right? The guy can play. The guy is calm, cool, collected. Doesn't mean he doesn't make mistakes. Right? He does. But I just like how he goes about his business. All right? And it's not like he hasn't seen this team before.
Sure. Seen him twice.
Right? And it's not like he didn't bring his team back to beat him. I think I was down at, I'm trying to think where I was when Washington. I've been on the road so much, I don't know. I do remember I was in Daytona Beach when the Rams played the Eagles on that Sunday night game. And Dick and I were watching down, and it was kind of a restaurant / bar or whatever. We're watching it, and every single time, Dick was a riot. Give the ball to Barkley. Next play. Give the ball to Barkley. Next play. Give the ball to Barkley. He had 255 yards rushing. I said, I think they can hear you.
Yeah.
Now, Detroit, their defense is a shell of itself. Even in the game, they lost one of their corners to a broken arm. Their Branch got hurt with his leg, knee. It's just they were kind of held together. They had practice players out there, practice squad players out there, held together by Scotch tape. And again, it over and over and over again. What plays a role? Turnovers, turnovers,
absolutely,
turnovers.
Yep.
Okay. They had 4 turnovers in the game?
5.
5 turnovers
had 4 picks. Yeah.
You're not gonna win a game doing that.
No.
Okay?
And that's
Houston. Okay. Turnovers. Okay. Killed them. Well, we talk about the officiating all we want, but okay. Baltimore had not had more than 2 turnovers in a game all season.
Right.
They had 3.
Yep.
Right. And I feel awful for Mark Andrews.
Absolutely.
Mark Andrews is a pro's pro.
Yep.
Mark Andrews has been one of the outstanding tight ends in the league for years. And
the Ravens aren't in that spot without Mark Andrews. Not at all.
Now, is it the best throw? No.
I didn't think it was either.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was something that was missed in that by a lot of people.
It's not the best throw.
Yeah.
But because it's Mark Andrews, it's a play you expect because it's Mark Andrews, he'll make that play. Right? But it wasn't the best throw.
No. Nope. Now, Lamar made his share of mistakes in that game. I think that's something that's...
But again, it's the turnovers over and over again. I mean, there had to be a miscommunication on the deep ball interception down the sideline. That had to be a miscommunication by somebody. He's the one that ends up with the stat, but I'm not saying it's his fault.
Right.
The fumble,
It was.
The Andrews fumble, Right? I mean, what opened the door for Notre Dame to get back in the game last time was Igbuka makes that great run, then fumbled the ball.
Fumbles. Yeah.
Like, again, turnovers, and the Eagles did a great job in their game. I'll say this: the kicking game part. I want to give credit where credit's due to man, not as a punter, but as a holder. The field goal that gave them, did it make it? It was before Barkley, I think. Well, whatever, made it 28. Didn't it make it 28? No, it made it.
Barkley's touchdown made it 28.
28. So
yeah, made it 22.
It was the third. Yeah, it made it 22.
Yeah.
It was the third field goal. Did you see the job man did in the hold? That snap is way out.
You got it.
It was not a good snap.
Yep.
I mean, in terms of like top to bottom, the height of it was great. The accuracy was out here, and he took it on ball's wet. Got it, and he yanked that thing back, and Elliott kicked it. Then Elliott missed two extra points. I mean, I can't figure him out.
No, I can't. It's Elliott and Tucker both have had tough years. There's no doubt. The one thing I think the playoffs are showing, though, that when you're looking at the teams that are there, you're looking at the teams, even the teams that have lost, you're now seeing in the NFL how important it is to build through the draft as much as it is free agency. Because you are seeing these teams. The Chiefs were not afraid to get rid of Tyreek Hill. How did they replace him? They drafted incredibly well. Better than just about anybody in the NFL. The Eagles had a lot of needs defensively. How did they do it? Yeah, they plugged in a few free agents, but they also drafted incredibly well. Drafting 2 rookie cornerbacks that have played just about every game this year, started just about every game.
Right.
Lions, same thing. Texans, same thing. Bills and Ravens. Ravens obviously go out and get Henry. But again, you're just seeing teams that are drafting well.
But again, I've really in some ways enjoyed everybody being called an expert.
Yeah.
So let's get to the draft experts.
Right. Oh, they miss. There's no question. They miss. No, I'm not saying
Lamar Jackson, 30th. But what are they going to do with Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
Right? Gibbs.
Yeah.
You don't draft a running back that high. Yeah. Now he's out there running wild. They go, what a great pick. You told everybody it was a bad pick.
49ers got an F for drafting Frank Gore in the 3rd round. How'd that turn out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's no question. Absolutely. But and I think it also puts to the forefront the teams that, I'll use the 49ers as an example. They have whiffed in the draft quite a bit. Now they hit late and were fortunate last several years a couple times, but they have missed on first-round picks, and that's the ones they've had. So there's one team right there, same thing. I think the Miami Dolphins, the same thing. I think they've missed at times on a lot of things. These are playoff teams, Dallas Cowboys. These are playoff teams that now are not playoff teams, and why? Because you didn't draft well.
Your team.
Well, my team's 1 of 3.
Poorly supported, poor drafts.
That's right.
A bitter.
That's right. Cowboys fans feel the same way right now.
Yeah, bitter.
But same thing. Those are the 3 teams that missed the playoffs compared to the teams that are in the playoffs.
You're a bitter guy. Okay? I can see in your lifeless, soulless eyes.
That's right.
Right. With the 49ers not in there, there's just no passion.
That's painful.
You don't care who wins.
No, I'd honestly, from a fan's perspective, I would like to see Buffalo win one. I'd like to. You get to the Super Bowl 4 times, you lose it 4 years in a row. I can't imagine as a fan base how tough that is.
Tell me about it.
That's. Yeah, so I
thought about that too.
Yeah, I would say, from a fan's perspective, sorry Philadelphia, sorry Commanders, sorry Kansas City. Well, why should we be sorry for Kansas City? You've won 2 straight, but especially who you beat those 2. But I think to me, from a fan's perspective, outside looking in, I think you'd love to see Buffalo win one. I think you'd love to see Josh Allen have one.
Oh, not everybody feels that way. There's people
in Philadelphia ready to hang me right now.
Bury you.
There's no doubt. But
bury you.
Yeah.
Okay?
And would I be sad if Barkley had a Super Bowl ring? No. Of course not.
Barkley, I'm rooting like. I mean, Saquon's so easy to root for.
Sure.
If you're around him for 5 minutes, I've been fortunate in my career is around him a lot more than 5 minutes. He is a special person. And I've always loved his work ethic, his passion, his attention to detail. He's a perfect example of you either get better or you get worse, you never stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
He's a perfectionist, right? And I mean that in a good way, because he's always striving to be better. And he'll climb on himself when it's not quite right. He doesn't need a coach to do it. Yeah, it doesn't mean a coach won't do it, but it doesn't need a coach to do it. He's the first one to say, he's like, I got to be better. Yeah, he's really terrific. So, all right. We'll have Neil Coulong on the show tomorrow. So, there you go. So there we go. Looking forward to it. I mean, you won't. It'll just be Neil tomorrow. You're out of it.
Yeah, they threw me out.
No, I'm trying. No, I'm trying to increase ratings here.